ladies and gentlemen. Ahead of us is the final element of today's program, a panel titled Humanoids or Exoskeletons, Solutions Transforming Human-Machine Relations in an Industry. Which will win? Let's see what Pavel's guests have to say. And they are Steven Genders from German Bionic, Daniel Kotlash from My Bot Shop, Uni3 distributor, Leonard Wulprecht, Generation Robots, distributor of Boston Dynamics, and Jan Kushan from Fraunhofer Institute.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the last panel. I'm really excited that I got the opportunity to lead this and to talk with really amazing people. And I hope you will enjoy this as much as I do, and that we will gain quite a lot of knowledge for the topics we usually don't have a touch points with, right? I mean, at least I don't know many people who daily talked about using humanoids and exoskeletons in their production environment. And hopefully after this panel, we will change some perspectives, we will open minds to new approaches, and we will all learn some insights. So I'm really glad for the incoming time. Yes, welcome everyone. Before we go to introduction, let me tell just a small story about what was going on in my production facility a few years ago. I had an metal production facility, and we had a department on a unit which was working on zinc. And they had to clean up, and there was a huge mess going on in there, and the people had to wear always heavy equipment. It's really not nice place to work on. And already a few years back then, I was thinking, geez, there must be better solution. Cobotics was not good enough because it was so mobile and you have to change. If we would have some humanoid I could put there, then it will be wonderful. I would just have some other stuff to do with the people who work there. Would be perfect. That's just an idea. But then I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have Krzysztof there, and Krzysztof was a brilliant guy working in the facility. He had one problem. He had no other task he could do because of his problems with his back. He was not able to bring the stuff up. And just 1 year ago, I met German Bionics on an exhibition, and I put on exoskeleton. I was always thinking, my gosh, people who have back problems, when they put more weight on, it will be even worse. Yeah, so how can it help? I was hugely surprised which difference this makes. So setting this scene, I think a few years later, after the story happened, probably we are on a starting journey for introducing this type of equipment, this type of technology into the production environments. And I'm really glad, let's go now into introduction, to have you all on the panel. And I would say maybe one by one, you introduce yourself, maybe starting Stefan with you.
All right. Thank you very much, Pavel, for the invitation and giving us the opportunity actually to be part of this fantastic panel. My name is Stefan Ganders. I'm heading the role of public affairs at German Bionic. We are a manufacturer and developer of so-called active exoskeletons. That's truly wearable robotics. You put it on like a backpack, and the system is driven by an external energy source, which is a battery in our case, with two electronic motors on the right and on the left side of the hips. And it supports you by actually heavy lifting tasks, manual handling tasks, but also if you have to do a lot of forced postures, leaning forward, the system holds your upper body up so that it releases the lower back, and the system supports you up to 36 kilograms, especially preventing musculoskeletal disorders, which are coming especially in those sort of jobs where you have to do a lot of repetitive heavy lifting and leaning forward. And that's our solution. It's machine learning, AI enabled, fully connected, sensor based. So we have a software platform on top. And I'm really happy to be part of this discussion today, to give a bit more insights about the technology as such, but also to have a very good and enlightening discussion about robotics, as well as human robotics and humanoid robotics in this current times. Thank you very much.
Maybe before we jump to the next one, Stefan, can you also tell about your role in German Bionics? Because we will talk today also about policies and what is necessary maybe for production facilities. And I think your role fits this subject amazingly. So if you maybe share some insights on your work.
Oh, yes. I mean, certainly, number one, we are a very highly innovative company. We are a so-called scale-up. We are not a startup anymore. We are commercial. So that means we are growing and reaching a certain highly innovative field of technology, not just in Germany, but across Europe. And we know that, and globally, and we know that this sort of technology is something where the European Commission is putting a high focus on. So certainly we as a company want to make ourselves more tangible and more approachable. We would like to be a counterpart in sharing expertise, but also trying to certainly push and raise attention for regulatory needs. We as an innovative company with our maturity rate is actually needing in order to grow here in Europe and to let the technology evolve and deploy in certain sectors. We have a very, very broad sort of scope and type of job profiles where our technology can serve a lot for the humans. We are human-centric. This is exactly where we see that technology can augment human capabilities in order to keep them healthy and make jobs more enriching. And therefore, we need to do a lot of education and explanation. And that's basically my role. Talk to policymakers, institutions, authorities, in order to explain and introduce our technology to these stakeholders.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm curious what you will tell about which policies we need and which we don't need later on. Since we are on a site on exoskeletons, I will ask Jan, maybe you, to introduce yourself and tell us about your daily work.
Thank you, Pavel. Yeah, my name is Jan Kuschan. I'm from the Fraunhofer Institute in Berlin, the IPK, and I'm deputy head of the department process automation and robotics. And we also focus very strong on human-centered robotics. So there is also, my personal interest into exoskeletons, and there I also wrote my PhD thesis about that I just defended in November, where I wrote about how an action-depending control can increase both the battery lifetime and also the reduction of fatigue because of better integration into the system. And so I'm a bit on both sides. Human robotics maybe a bit further away, but definitely collaborative robotics and also exoskeletons. But as I said, my heart is at exoskeletons.
Yeah, and you work quite a lot with data, so that will be also part of interesting topic today. And okay, let's jump now to the other side of our panel, which means the humanoids. And on that side, we have Daniel and Leonard, and I will ask maybe Daniel, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Daniel Kotlatz. I am the founder of my bot shop. May some of you have already seen, we are working with Pavel on several projects, let's say Hannover Messe right now. And let's say at my bot shop, we are not fully working on distribution only. Let's say the name is a little bit misleading due to wrong decisions in the past. We are a little bit divided into two sections. The first one is usually reselling, distributing robotic products at all. We have started with components and weird platforms, let's say. and now shifted a little bit to humanoids due to the massive interest of public. But on the other hand, we are not doing, let's say, dump money and selling products and moving boxes. We have our own software engineering teams with whom we are doing a lot of POCs. Different cases, let's say, for automotive, for last mile delivery, for pick and place applications, and we are doing the full pipeline, let's say. So if a customer or a partner is having a problem, let's stay on pick and place applications, we are not only doing the software application, we are also doing the integration work. We are figuring out which gripper is the best possible, the needed one. We are integrating the camera system, the LiDAR systems, and we are doing everything from the navigation stack to the gripping points and manipulation tasks.
Yeah, so we are having quite a lot of practical experience, and even if Daniel doesn't look like this, he works already as a CEO for 9 years at the bot shop, if I'm correct. So there's quite a lot of practical experience also in the implementation of this type of solutions. So I'm really looking forward also to your opinion. And last but not least, Leonard.
Okay, thank you. My name is Leonard Fulprecht. I am sales director for Generation Robots. We are the German subsidiary of a larger French company based in Bordeaux, which is called NGX Robotics. And what we do is we distribute all kinds of robots and robotics equipment. We were introduced as a distributor for Boston Dynamics. That's true, but we also have all kinds of other robots to offer, among them humanoid robots, but we do have a strong focus on wheeled platforms, and we also offer integration services for those platforms with sensors and other payload equipments. And we have been in this market since 2008 from France and since 2018 with our own subsidiary in Berlin.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Let's jump into the main topics. I would love to maybe start with the humanoid because it's slightly more difficult for us to understand. And maybe Daniel, if you could start with how the technology of humanoid robots is creating the values already now in the industries, and maybe also short information which misconceptions a decision maker often have about the technology, because we heard about humanoids, but no one is see it in action, or rarely someone. So it's if you could give us some insights on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So right now, let's say as I already discussed in the past, we have worked a lot with wheel platforms, where we have built, let's say, mobile manipulators. It is, I would say, the stadium of humanoid robots beforehand. So let's say a wheeled platform with a robot arm is having nearly the same capabilities like a humanoid robot, but mostly with one arm. And in the past, we have worked with humanoid robots, let's say a lot for tasks which are already done by humans. And the difficulty right now is a little bit the flexibility. We can program and adapt a robot specifically for one task, which is quite easy with imitation learning or reinforcement learning. But the hard task is coming when the product is undefined. It could be pick and place applications where we have different shape of boxes or different card box sizes, and especially when the force point is different. Moving boxes from A to B is quite easy with humanoid robots, grasping them and moving them, but it becomes incredibly hard, let's say, when the boxes have an undefined weight and the weight is not in the center of gravity if it's a little bit shifted, and one arm has to be stronger be used, let's say, for force control, because in that case, we're always struggling a little bit between safe robots, which can be used, let's say, as cobot in a warehouse with other humans. But in that case, it has to be in a controlled way that the robot is feeling the force and is stopping if it's unexpected. But unexpected stops, let's say, where we have to create more force. And it's always a little bit balancing struggle between having a safe robot and having a flexible system.
Okay, so how would you say the flexibility is right now on a humanoid robot? I mean, in comparison to a wheeled platform with a cobot.
Yeah, the flexibility, let's say, starts or begins when we have a different defined task. Let's say pick and place application. If we would like to fill up boxes with different goods, we have a fulfillment center and would like to grasp goods, it's totally fine, totally flexible. For example, if we have a lot of rectangle boxes. Right now, the human is the big advantage right now, or big advantage with the exoskeleton, in case we have different size of boxes and different weights, because a human can feel when the center of gravity is a little bit shifted. The robot right now is not able to do so, or it can only do in a very limited way.
Got it. Stefan, maybe you could give us a light on the value created by exoskeletons already today, and maybe a little bit comparison to what we heard from Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, what I think Daniel described is something what we observe as well in various cases, not speaking about humanoid robots, which are human-like in postures and in the design of the robots. But certainly if you have automated processes and you use automated robots doing certain tasks, I think there are a lot of advantages compared to the human being. But in turn, either they are fixed at the position where they are, and sometimes also for work safety reasons, we put an automated robot into a cage again in order to avoid that there are risks and injuries, potential injuries with the other employees in a certain factory environment. What we think with the exoskeletons is about human augmentation. So we keep actually the natural characteristics of the human beings, like creativity, intuition, being very agile in the way of how we can do our jobs, but augment the capabilities of the humans by variable robotics. So you put them on really onto your body, and the system based on AI as we use it with machine learning adjusts the support the system provides to the human beings, because it's listening on the impulses the human body gives to the system very intuitively. And therefore, we keep the role of the human being in the way of how it works alive. And we certainly have in industries, places, certainly type of jobs which can be fully automated and which makes perfectly sense, especially when it is in risky situations or very situations where injuries can seriously happening. But in other areas, the human beings are still very, very important to have, and especially the intelligence of human beings. And I think here the augmentation technology can help a lot, especially also in other areas like caring and nursing, where we have the human interaction with the human beings as well. So there are a lot of, and a very wide area of deployment possibilities of exoskeletons, which help to and support the human beings in the daily tasks, reduce risks of injury, especially in our case in the lower back, especially for repetitive heavy lifting tasks, as we have in logistics, as we have in building and constructions, warehousings, also in the manufacturing, and sometimes, where also the environment in an industry field is difficult to deploy with automated robots, even humanoid robots. I mean, you see, the closer the humanoid robots are coming to the body size and body style of humans, you do not want to change the environment in an industry area anymore. You want just to replace the humans in order to avoid that there are risky situations for them, which makes certainly perfectly sense. But sometimes this capability of humans are still very, very important to keep. That's, I think, what we experience on a daily basis.
Yeah, just a small follow-up maybe on that, because you said it's augmenting and supporting the person. But I mean, we have in the public mostly CEOs, CTOs, and people who decide is the investment right in this technology or not. It's great to hear all the wonderful stuff, but how operational or strategically is it a good solution right now, or how much is it just PR that we are supporting the people we have in our factories? What are you calculating in ROI for investment on exoskeletons currently? Could you maybe go slightly deeper on that?
Yeah, I think you can certainly split that into various parameters. Number one parameter is certainly you need to take care of your workers, especially in the times as it is a responsibility of the company as such for a very long time. So that's natural motivation. The second is that in some places, automation is just not feasible or not possible to implement because of the work environment. And you would like to keep the humans in this place because they are flexible, they are intelligent, intuitive, all that. They understand situations. And what we see here is that in an aging society, we have a lot of people now with the baby boomers moving into retirement. We have less younger people moving in. So for some workplaces and the expectations young people have to certain type of jobs, they are really expecting that certainly the burden or physical strain on the body is at least somehow found and compensated by a solution. And the job as such is interesting, but the way of how you can do it, you need to have technical support. This is expected. And from that end, certainly using technology, which certainly has amount of investment costs, but in turn you need to think about what does it mean if your people are getting ill and they have a lot of absenteeism days. So every day costs you already from 250 up to 800 euro per day. This is what statistics say. So if the longer they are falling out, the more expensive it becomes. The second is certainly if you need to think about what do you do with recruiting if people are leaving the company because they think that the job is too burdensome and they just don't want this anymore. Then you need to think about how much are expenses in order to recruit new ones, to onboard them, to train them on certain jobs. And finally, it's also about how can you make your company attractive to especially younger generations like Gen Y, Z, next coming Alpha. They have a different sort of view on the job they want to do in the future and how technology can help them to make it enriching, enlightening, but also more healthy. And this is something what we see a lot. Compared to this, how much is an investment as well in order to fully automate as long as it is possible? You have not a full solution for all cases. And I think, therefore, it is very important. And the ROI calculation is a very reasonable and meaningful, but also very, very much makeable one. I think there can be one last point for self as well. If you use technology to help the daily work, then fatigue levels, I think one of our speakers and participants has just mentioned it, technology can help to reduce fatigue levels and therefore certainly injury risks, but also mistakes during the daily work. And there is another aspect of, I think, a benefit which you can calculate into ROI scenarios as well.
Yeah, amazing. Great. Lennart, now I have to ask you the same question, and I imagine it will be slightly difficult to argument for humanoids. So what is the value currently, or is it really strategical decision we can already make and operationally valuable for us to introduce humanoids robots in a production environment? Or is it just really PR? I have something for my marketing team.
I mean, I see the value of humanoid robots as a model and as a platform for experimentation. I don't really see humanoid robots as the tool to be implemented in actual production. I don't see humanoid robots as something replacing human workers. I do think they have their merit, and maybe it's not either or. So maybe humanoid robots can be a system that helps research movements and behaviors and balance patterns so that it can help improve, for example, exoskeleton technology. And I think this is a value contribution, but it might not be the kind of value contributed that people imagine when they see a humanoid move around and demonstrate what it is programmed to do. If we are going to decide today whether one or the other technology is going to contribute the most value to production, then I am definitely on the side of exoskeletons.
That's fascinating. But then why is it that Elon Musk, I mean, last few months nobody likes him, but why he's saying, okay, they want to introduce like 80% of the work done currently by humans, he want to do it by Optimus. So if it's not valuable, or is it just a fake news?
Why did he say he was going to build Hyperloop?
Yeah, that's another question, right?
I think he also had a scheme to bring flying taxis, and he's going to colonize Mars. I'm not sure if all of this is just, you know, visions to inspire or actual plans. I don't see it happening because right now we have automation technologies. We have, like Daniel mentioned, mobile platforms with cobots mounted on them, mobile manipulators. We have all these automation techniques and schemes already happening. And at the same time, we have humanoid robots in a very early stage of development. And people are optimistic and they say it's going to develop even more, it's going to be better. But at the same time, in parallel, all those other automation techniques are also improving. So by the time a humanoid robot can actually work a simple job in a factory, the mobile manipulators or the stationary manipulators or the exoskeleton technology will have also progressed much further. So I don't think a fully universal humanoid robot will ever be competitive as an automation solution.
Daniel, you are shaking your head.
No. Usually I would say I agree to most of the task. I would say what a lot of persons are not, which calculations most persons are not doing is right now, I see humanoid robots in a niche position, let's say. Everybody's dreaming about a black warehouse or black factory where no humans are working anymore. And I totally agree on that. And I would say humanoid robots are the best fit for production or for a specific task which you would like to implement in your given environment. Let's say if you are shipping 100 parcels an hour and you are just shipping books. Let's say everything is rectangle. You mostly know from your ERP system the weight of each. You can build your own suction cap, let's say, for moving them into parcels and preparing parcels. And you don't want to invest in a huge automated warehouse at the best fit. But let's say only for the next 10 to 20 decades, 1 to 2 decades, 10 to 20 years. I would say afterwards, the biggest efficiency is coming in the combination of automated factories and robots.
Okay, that's great. To be honest, that's the line I was also thinking till now. Yeah, I was hoping to hear something completely different about humanoids. But before I jump to Jan, I have one more question to Leonard, because you said for humanoids right now it's great to experiment on them. So which types of experiment you see a production facility could do with them that will benefit them and not the producer of the humanoids?
Essentially, you can, the most extreme thing I have heard about is the idea to have it be a kind of crash test dummy, but on a more detailed and sophisticated level. So you could let it do things, let it try things, and then see how much strain it puts on them, or which part breaks first, or which challenge is the worst to balance or to to the motors or whatever part you're going to test. And I think balance is always one of the biggest challenges, not just for humanoids, but also for other robots that are not on wheels and that can shift their weight a little bit. The other thing is experimenting with how well a humanoid robot, will be accepted in an environment where other humans are also present.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I have to jump now to you, Jan. Before we started the panel, we have a short discussion with each of you, and you mentioned the usage of exoskeletons for data gathering, and I'm quite curious how this connects to the idea of introducing exoskeletons not only to enhance or make the work easier for the humans, but also to improve maybe the processes or to gather, to experiment on stuff while using the technology. We just heard on humanoids there are some possibilities to experiment on, but how is it with the exoskeletons? What are we getting except of easier work from the technology?
We are getting a lot, especially with active exoskeletons. You always have sensors included. And as German Bionics already use it for their algorithms, you can also use it to finally get some informations about the work processes the humans make. So often you're in a factory and yeah, they tell you, okay, we roughly know what time the humans need for this process because yeah, we laid it out at the first try, but the process has changed a bit. Persons do things on their own, and in the end, they just quit a couple of process steps at a time, and we don't have any idea about the processes the humans are involved. And by using the data the sensors are giving us by their nature, we finally have the possibility to really get information about this without having somebody standing next to the humans with a timer and checking the process times. And then we also know where maybe we have very demanding tasks. We already made ergonomic sheets only using the sensors from an exoskeleton. So we get so many more informations, and we can also include this into digital twins. And obviously it needs to be data secure, and we also have to watch for the data privacy, but it opens up a huge variety of possibilities.
Yeah, I will love to go on to the topic of policies right now, but before we do that, just a short question, because I saw on the West you were having on one exhibition, and we were talking about it. You are gathering data not only about the tasks the person is doing, but also about the muscles and some additional information. Can you tell us shortly about that?
Yes, what we've done, we are a research institute, so we also have always some financial capabilities to go a step ahead. And what we've done is checking if we are able to get the fatigue state of a person, the muscular fatigue state, only by the change of movements. So it was possible. We showed that it is very good and very reliable. And then if you have this information, you can also think about having individual break times for persons, or just making individual process plans, so that you say, okay, we have currently this person with a huge fatigue in the arm level, and another person with a huge fatigue in the lower body or lower back level. So we can switch them without causing any injuries. And this is something that is obviously an extra value, but also we can track the posture of the persons, so we can check if he is or she is behaving in an ergonomic manner and give a feedback. So if you, the easiest example, if you bend forward picking up a heavy item without an exoskeleton, then you put a huge load on your lower back, and going to the knees with a straight back, you can reduce the load on your back. You put a bit more load to your knees, but statistically, the lower back is the main reason for work-related injuries. And so if you know this as an employee, and you get the feedback in time, then you can change your posture and have a continuous learning. And those are things we are working on, and they already show huge benefit to companies. So I think it doesn't has to be always an exoskeleton, but the digitalization in combination with the human is also a huge value that for companies.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that's a perfect gateway to thema policies, and but a little maybe zoomed out, because I wouldn't. Data policy is just one part of it. We are having listeners which are practical applicants and practical thinking people mostly. Stefan, what do you think needs to be done on the regulations? And I mean, not only regulations from governmental side, but also internal. What CEO should do, or what we have to think about before introducing this type of technology like exoskeletons? And then the same question will go to our humanoids guys. But you are so deep in policies. I would love to hear that.
Great, thank you very much. I mean, I would like just to come up and start with a very practical answer from our day-to-day work, and what Jan has already mentioned about the potential of sensors and what we can do with data, I think is a very entrance of a good landing strip in order to speak about it. So if you have a workplace scenario, what you need to adjust or review from an ergonomics perspective as a responsible employer, you often do some sort of video analytics. You record it and then you analyze it, how you can improve the workplace, or you do it with just people who are standing whilst people are working and trying to analyze. But I can tell you, in most of those cases, people feel observed somehow, and they will do the operations as positive, as perfect as possible. And when this sort of recording or monitoring is done, then you will do it as you normally do it. And sometimes then a job can become unergonomic. If you ask a person, how can, for example, the job be optimized, and what sort of support an exoskeleton or a technical assistive system should be providing, then it's difficult to explain. But if you look into our technology, it tracks a lot of data. It does track how fast you lift, how often you lift, how deep actually you need to lean or bend forward, what is the angle, and is there a difference between the morning time and the afternoon time? So which can draw a conclusion on fatigue levels. It's also about, is there a job which has to do a lot of heavy lifting or holding tasks, or maybe, you know, you even have to rotate in the lower back, which is a risky sort of movement. The system can track and analyze this and give you a recommendation on how you can improve the job, but on the other hand, also how the system has to support based on your individual movement patterns, based on the specific work situation. And it learns how much it can adjust further support or less support depending on the situation. So we speak certainly a lot about data, and then we speak about certainly GDPR, which is a special sort of responsibility in developing those systems so that they are GDPR compliant. Our system is completely connected. The data is transferred into a cloud so that they can be analyzed in regards to AI implementation and machine learning. So that means we have certain various regulations what we need to review in order to see how much that has an impact on our technology. We have the machine regulation, which has a lot of new aspects due to the AI increasing relevance in robotics as well as in machinery. And also here, again, we have another touch point. But I think what is the most crucial one is how can we adjust and review or interpret current regulations in occupational health and safety in regards to new technologies which are coming up. We are in a very, very special situation at the moment. As I have described earlier, we are in an aging society. We have less skilled workers. We have skilled workers gap. We have an attitude from younger people who have different demands and expectations to jobs. So how can technology serve to make actually a job attractive, enriching, more motivating, and more health and safety? I think we have a very strong approach in technological centric approach in how we see the work life in the future. So we look a lot in regards to how can we automate or technologize and digitalize certain work profiles where it is economically meaningful, and on the other hand, where it is technically feasible. And the remaining jobs are left then back for the humans. So I think it is important to see and push a bit more into a human-centric approach to see what are the capabilities of humans so that we can enrich the human capabilities by technology and then see what is actually how we can make it more healthy and more I would say, yeah, as I said, enriching for the people. And that's basically our approach. But if you read EU regulations and you see how can Europe stay competitive in the future, then robotics is number one, a very, very strong aspect. AI is another one. We have a lot of connectivity, human centricity, tech for good, we call it. Those kind of technological aspects are strong from a European point of view. They have the step regulations, strategic technologies for Euro platform. If we define it, we need to make a lot of strong efforts in order to deploy them in Europe so that Europe becomes a very attractive location and market as well for companies all over the place which are developing those sort of technologies. Because otherwise, where we're not Europe, those need to be solved, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Europe is a great place to do it, but we are all worried about data and we are all worried about so many things that we are blocking ourselves into investing into new technologies and approaching new stuff. Maybe if you could, Stefan, tell us in a practical approach, if I'm thinking about introducing exoskeletons to my production facility, which steps should I take? What should I talk to? Do I have to change my internal policies, safety regulations, or is it so complicated, or is it easy? Or where are we currently in Europe on that?
Well, I think what we observe and what we really get as a response wherever we have a chance to introduce the technology, and a lot of people get aware of it because of media coverage and you know, an increase of discussion, like also today's occasion, the fascination is given. So that's not a point. They see also the value for specific premises and workplace scenarios. What is very important is to see if a certain workplace is a fit for purpose for our product and vice versa. If it doesn't make sense to implement it because the load is too low or the environment is difficult because it's very, very narrow, or the situation is that you have only very short terms of using an exoskeleton, then you need to think about what can you change regarding organizational processes. So that the acceptance and the reasonability of putting it on and using it for half an hour, or even longer, and then you put it off again, that this can be implemented. It needs to be accepted by the users because it's really experienced as a support in the daily work, and it is releasing the strain on the lower back or on the body strain as such. As long as this can be changed or is given already, there is not much hurdle. There's not a big issue to implement it, except that you certainly have tried under the hierarchy of controls in occupational health and safety, that you have done all other measures which can be done in order to use this technology. Our technology is often perceived as a personal protective equipment, even though it's not given as such in the product category, because there is no regulation which is referring or defining exoskeletons as such. But the point is that technical assistive systems have sometimes a different interpretation from authorities when it comes to exoskeletons. And our clients, they truly understand that as a technical assistive system, which can be easily used as a adjustable desk from the height side. So it's a comparable tool for this, and therefore we support and we believe it's exactly that purpose. So it's a bit theoretical, but it's a way of how we understand paradigms and principles in occupational health and safety regulation. But for us, most of our clients really understand that as a tool, so in order to support technically the work of their employees.
So basically, dear producers, start and you will get all the help from the technology supplier. But now, Daniel,
I also would like to
sure.
add something small, because often I'm also in contact as a kind of consultant, and I'm in contact with companies saying, yeah, we tried exoskeletons, no, they are not working for us. And when I go there, and sometimes I've never even heard about the company they bought the exoskeleton from, and I'm working on exoskeletons for the last 10 years. You really need somebody who goes through the first steps with you. You can't buy an exoskeleton and think, okay, it will solve all my problems. And I know with German bionics, it's different because they really look, does it make sense? Is it the right environment? But if you just buy an exoskeleton without really looking on your factory, if it makes sense, then you will lose the acceptance from the employees, and you will not be able to get it back easy.
That's interesting. Yeah.
If you very quickly allow, thanks Jan for pointing that out. I think this is something what we really see as well. We have a multi-phase process when we come into a company. We look really into the job the potential client has in mind, which can be supported by exoskeletons. But it's not that we talk to one person only. We really look into the organization as such. We sometimes have the owner of the company or the managing director level. We have certainly also the labor representative on board. We have normally the physicians on board who are taking care of the health of the workers. We have the department heads, but in specific, we have those people on board who should and are intended to use the technology. So the more we have included in the process, the more we get all views involved, and the more we can even speak about potential organizational, processional changes which may need to be done since we involve a new technology into the process, right? So this is a normal occasion or a normal consequence. If you add new tools, this has an impact on existing processes. This is where we come also very closely involved and try to support, advise, and as Jan has said, also other sometimes external stakeholders are also involved in order to guide and help companies in order to see what they need to change.
Yeah, culture is also quite important in this type of new investments. Daniel, please, similar question, but for humanoids. If I would think right now of, okay, I want to try, I have some task which I think humanoid could do for me. What do I have to think practically on changing in my infrastructure, in my companies? What safety measures I have to take? Who I have to teach something new? Please give us some practical insights on implementation of humanoids.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would say humanoid robots are the best fit for somebody who have a repetitive task. Let's say sometimes you have tasks which are quite complicated, as I already mentioned. And for this kind of task, I would say a human with specific tools like an exoskeleton is, I would say, the best fit. But let's say persons, or other way around, let's say we are getting a lot of requests from companies who are thinking or having the dream of having a black warehouse, only using humanoid robots because they are thinking they're having the same flexibility like a human. It can go stairs, it can switch the levels of floors, or can do all kind of tasks. I would say this is future vision. It will become available, and a lot of bigger companies are already working on it, and we are making a big progress. I would say every quarter there's something coming out, a new research paper, a new company, a new software stack, which is improving all of it. But right now, humanoid robots can be can increase the productivity for repetitive jobs, especially if you would like to invest in the future and would like to automate your factory. But a small issue right now, due to European law, there is no machine directory which is responsible for humanoid robots. So right now, in case you would like to use humanoid robots, you have to separate them from humans. So for small tasks, they're great. For working as cobot, they are not available right now.
Okay, good to know. And by the way, if anyone want to see it in action, 31st of March till April 4th, we are having an exhibition in Hannover Messe, and Daniel is there also on our as our partner and showcasing 2 humanoid robots in battery recycling. So it will be quite interesting. Leonard, a question I see here, quite interesting question in the chat. About a bit responsibility and who is managing who. So when we have humanoid robots, right now as a human we go to the machinery. If we make mistake, we are responsible for that. What is happening with humanoids in that? So we're going a little bit into ethics, right? But if humanoid robot will do something on a machinery, is the producer of the humanoid robot responsible if he makes mistake, or who is responsible for what the humanoid is doing?
Very interesting question, and I think it's being asked a lot lately, and it is not fully answered or solved yet, but it will, in my opinion, always depend on the situation. Will whatever happened, if something goes wrong, so that's usually the situation where this becomes relevant. If something goes wrong, did it go wrong because the manufacturer had an oversight or made a mistake? Then of course it will be their fault. Did it go wrong because the machine was instructed, programmed, or operated the wrong way? Then whoever is responsible for that will get the blame. And there will always be ways to find out about that. It will not be, as some people want to predict, I think, be attributed to the robot itself, because the robot itself, however complex it is, will still be a piece of machinery. it won't have awareness or the ability to judge what it should do. So there will always be a way to figure out who is responsible. And it might be complex, because what was mentioned here also was the collaboration between different types of machinery. We call this fleet management. But there will always be a human somewhere up the chain who is responsible for whatever goes wrong.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for the insight. I think we are coming already almost to the end. I have a feeling we could talk for a few more hours about this topic. I would ask you maybe one by one, starting Jan with you, just to give me like 1 minute advice for CEOs and CTOs listening to us if they are thinking about introducing the exoskeletons or humanoids, how to do it, or what to think about. Just a short final statement of your side. Jan?
Okay, yeah. What to do? I think the best thing to do is to get in contact with a independent company, or to get in contact with a company who has current a standing in this business, either be exoskeletons or humanoid robots, because as I said, I see more and more exoskeletons especially just popping up in the market, and you don't really know much about it, and if you just buy those things in the internet, it is pretty sure that it fires backwards. And so get your employees involved into the decision. Find somebody who helps you go the introduction steps with you.
Okay, great. Leonard?
Both. Yep.
Sorry, we have to watch the time.
I want to finish. I would say
fine.
Be clear about what problem you're trying to solve, because it can be tempting to use the newest or the most amazing or most impressive technology to throw at a problem. But as you said, Pavel, we don't want to end up automating problems. So we need to be clear about the problems that we're trying to solve, and the requirements, the conditions, and then figure out what the best way is to introduce. And that way, anyone trying to improve work on the factory floor will find the ideal solution, not the one that looks the shiniest.
Okay, great. Daniel?
I totally agree to Leonard, and I would like to mention setting small goals. Let's say automation and robotics are quite amazing right now, and a lot of possibilities are coming out, and it's quite good working products out there. With one, we can integrate and automate a lot of processes, but don't think about using one humanoid robot and all your problems are gone. Please keep your workers.
Perfect. And Stefan?
Can't agree more in that case. can't agree more on that. I think what is important is that I would not see really that there is a competitive sort of situation per se between humanoid robots and exoskeletons. I think there are workplaces and working tasks which can be most likely better be done when the humanoid robots are capable to do those, because, for example, it's a specific safety question. But what people who are thinking about how to digitalize or technicalize certain roles in the specific roles and functions, thinking about how important the humans are, how much are the capabilities of humans relevant, necessary for this specific task, then I think it is very important to take exoskeletons very seriously into consideration, because it is augmenting the capabilities and supporting humans to make it more safety and more enriching as well as motivating. So I think that is my statement. Looking into the specific job and see how exoskeletons can fit in. We are here for support and give advice, but I think this is the key.
Perfect. That's a perfect sentence, I think, to finalize this panel. Thank you so much for joining. I can also just remind everyone you can post this type of challenge also on our platform, and we connect you with everyone who have the right technology for you. So do it. And I hope you enjoyed the panel, and I wish you a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for joining us.